Sigue en sintonía de nuestra programación.
Los conceptos vertidos en este espacio son de exclusiva responsabilidad de la persona o institución que los emite.
Ahora empieza su programa, el show del Dr. Roy Aranda. Temas sobre los efectos que tiene la separación de los niños de sus padres, traumas que afrontan los indocumentados, violencia doméstica, el porqué de la violencia en las escuelas. Llámanos en vivo al 1-888-900-2811, extensión 6, y haz tus preguntas al aire. ¡Comenzamos!
Good evening, my dear television viewers on Tribuna TV. Buenas noches, queridos, what's the word? Wow, I'm stuck here. Los que me están mirando en el televisor, disculpe que me estoy trabado. Estamos haciendo el show hoy más o menos bilingüe, estoy riéndome porque casi me acuerdo que la semana pasada yo les dije a ustedes, last week I said that it seems that every Thursday it rains, and sure enough, it's raining, and está lloviendo otra vez. So, parece que no es un mito, pero que todos los jueves tenemos que tener lluvia. Every Thursday we're going to have rain. Anyway, I'm still cracking up laughing from that. I wanted to extend my hopes. Quería desear a todos que pasaron el día de Memorial Day bien agradables, sanos y salvos con sus familias, that you had healthy, happy holiday, the extended Memorial Day weekend, and it was precisely in honor of Memorial Day, en el honor del día Memorial Day, que yo decidí hacer un show hoy que tratando sobre el tema de tratar a los veteranos y discapacitados. I wanted precisely as a way of commemorating and in honor of Memorial Day to have a topic today treating veterans and the disabled. And I am really, really, really glad. Estoy muy contento de decirles que mi invitado Conrado Delgado, I pronounced it okay?
Sí, Delgado.
Okay, my guest Conrado Delgado, he's Boricua, puertorriqueño. He's Puerto Rican. He's from the beautiful island of Puerto Rico, es de la isla bella de Puerto Rico, y como dicen allá, es borrinqueña. So,
la isla del encanto.
So I also did want to share that I'm doing a little bit of visual trickery here, because even though I'm a pretty big guy and I'm tall, he's enormous. Conrado, you're like what, 6'5"?
Yeah.
So we had to play with the chairs a little bit, otherwise I would have been down here and he would have been up there. So Conrado's grandísimo, 6 pies 5 pulgadas. So tuvimos que hacer como un jueguito con las sillas, si no yo parecería un enano. Y eso que no soy enano, I'm a pretty big guy myself. So I'm really delighted to extend an invitation to Conrado Delgado to be here. He is a Navy veteran, an activist. I've known him for many years, about 10 years, maybe longer?
Closer to 20.
Wow, it's been quite a while.
Yeah, it's been quite a while.
Almost as long as Emilio, So, I'm really grateful for him being here, and I do know something about his background, his military background. I also know about some of the difficulties that he's had. I mean, he actually was in the service. He served. It was in Lebanon. Él estuvo en militar, atendió en Lebanon. Y pues él experimentó mucho de los problemas. He witnessed many of the problems that that the majority of us don't know very little about. I don't want to say we don't know anything about them, but I do believe that we know little about them unless, you actually happen to be a veteran, or you know a veteran, or you're a family member of a veteran, or you work with veterans, or you treat veterans. Otherwise, you really have no idea. You have no idea what it's like to be there. Es imposible saber lo que experimentan y lo que han sufrido los veteranos sin haber estado allá. Uno puede imaginarse, you can imagine it. I would have done this, I would have done that. What's the big deal? You look like you have a head, 2 legs, and 2 arms. What's wrong with you? And I know that that's very discriminatory, yes, and it's very unfair because of the incredible amount of not only service that you gave to the United States, and protecting all of us, but the ups and downs that you had. You develop a camaraderie with other soldiers, other people in the military, in the armed forces, and you've witnessed and you've seen the horrors of war, and you've probably also seen some of the beauty of the closeness and some of the tight relationships that you make with people that you never lose that. You never lose those kinds of bonds. So without further ado, lo que quería hacer entonces es invitarle I'm going to call you Don Conrado in Spanish.
Thank you.
Conrado in English, to say a few words about himself, and then we'll talk. We are going to share with you, vamos a hablar sobre las estadísticas, some of the statistics pertaining to veterans and people who are disabled, and we're also going to talk about some of the types of problems that you experience, that veterans are experiencing. Then we're going to get into a special treat that Conrado's actually agreed to share as an activist, as he should, sure. To share some of his personal experiences, which is really, for me, a first time actually doing it on the show, because we've never had a guest that talked about his or her personal experiences. I've had psychiatrists, psychologists, I've had other healthcare professionals who talked maybe about their practices and some of their experiences. I know that I did have Dr. Tony Puente, a past president of the American Psychological Association. Hi, Tony. I'm giving you a shout out in case you're watching. And he actually experienced firsthand the ravages of a hurricane that left his town and his house and his community ravaged for a significant period of time. So it was very interesting, his sharing some of those personal reflections as well. So I think that that's going to be very interesting, hopefully educational. Towards the end of the show, as I've always tried to do before, focus on sources of treatment, what are some of the things that are available, and then we'll be wrapping up with practical suggestions that we may be able to make for the viewers. So take it away, Don Conrado.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me. My name is Conrado Delgado. I'm a native born. I was born on the island. I'm from the town of San Juan, Puerto Rico. I'm a father of 3. I have a set of twins, 16-year-old high school kids, and my older daughter, which you know my older daughter, she's a chef. She's 23 years old. She graduated from Johnson & Wales.
Yeah, I knew her when she was like una chiquitita.
Yes. And God bless her, she's working back at the school. She recently signed a contract. She's working at a Johnson & Wales in Providence, Rhode Island. And as a father, I'm so glad. And I got to tell you, man, it's been a roller coaster year for me. I've had a lot of surgeries. I thank God for my family. They're the ones that keep me going. I participate over at the VA in St. Albans in Queens, and I have a PTS group there. I'm considered the youngster in the group because my group consists of World War II vets, Koreans, Vietnam vets, and myself, which I'm not with the new group with the Afghanistan, but I'm with the Lebanon because my presidents were Bush and Reagan. So I come from the Reagan era. And
Oh, World War II, God bless.
Yes.
God bless.
Yes. I have a guy in my unit that served with Jimmy Stewart. He was Air Force. Jim Stewart. I can't believe it. It's the greatest story of all. I love him to death. He's 96 years old. And Ben, if you're watching, because I asked him to watch, I'm giving you a shout out. Yeah, that Jimmy Stewart story is fantastic. And I'm here to represent my fellow veterans, or what I like to call them my brothers, because we all fall under the same umbrella. We have a lot of issues, a lot of problems,
but part of that brotherhood is also something that you see as a form of like peer support, peer counseling. I'm guessing if one of you is hurting, or you're aware of it, or you pick up on it, or someone doesn't show, there's going to be somebody saying, hey, what happened to so-and-so? ¿Qué pasó a fulano? ¿Dónde está? Where did he go? And I know that in churches, for instance, they do that a lot as well. There's a tradition de los hermanos, las hermanas, pero ¿dónde está Juan? ¿Qué pasó a María? And they actually go make a house call, and they do that. And I think that to a large extent, that has a lot more of a curative value in terms of helping you feel that you're going forward with life, than actually seeing professionals that are a little bit more, more closed off or more traditional in some instances. And I'm also guessing that that many of you with years and years and years come on to become sort of like counselors. You take on sort of like a counseling role. And I also see this a lot in self-help groups, where you have people who've been there before. They come and they're trying to help people. I see that with AA. I see that with NA, with other substance abuse kinds of groups, domestic violence groups.
That's
things
exactly
like
right.
that.
And what a lot of people don't know, even with the kids that I talk to, the new kids coming out of Afghanistan, veterans really do not talk about their experiences to anybody else really in depth, except to other veterans, because they feel the camaraderie. They feel that person's been there. They know. They're feeling exactly what you're feeling, and it's a tight bond that we have. It is. I feel that way all the time. I miss my guys when I'm not there, and when I'm you know what I'm saying. I'll get a phone call. Hey, what's going on? You okay? And, it's something. My family I have a good family support system. I'm blessed with a good wife, but it's nothing like my guys. I'm having a down day, and I'm just, I just don't want to. I don't want to talk to anybody. Closed off. And the guy said, "Hey, listen, man, come talk to me. Let's hash it out. Let's get it out on the table."
I think, as I've done before, I think it's important to give the viewers some educational piece about what we're looking at. ¿Me puede poner, Oscar, the primer slide, the first slide? We're going to look at some definitions and statistics. So this is the, who qualifies or who's considered to be a veteran. So under federal law, I wrote it down for you. Again, the show's going to be, by the way, recorded. It's being recorded. It'll be available tomorrow. But by federal law, a veteran's a person who suffered honorably on active duty in the armed forces of the United States. Discharges marked as general and under honorable conditions also qualify. In other qualifying events, any person who served in the active military, Navy, or Air Service of the United States and was discharged due to service-connected disability. So this is basically who a veteran is, what it means to be a veteran. Oscar, the segundo slide. And I really want to give you an idea of the statistics. This is pretty recent, from 2017. The number of military veterans in the United States in 2017, 18.2 million. Female veterans in the United States in 2017, 1.6 million. Last year, there were 6.8 million, almost 7 million American veterans who served during the Vietnam era, 7.1 million who served in the Gulf War era from August 1990 through the present, And in 2017, approximately 1.4 million veterans had a service-connected disability rating of 70% or higher. Let me also add that, ya puedo sacar a slide, that this to a large extent is well, in some instances is a bit of an under-representation, because you're not exactly sure of what all the numbers are, who's checking in, who's not checking in, and it's particularly more significant, the under-representation that I'm referring to when you look at problem areas. So I do want the viewers, quiero que todos los que están escuchando el show, que están mirando el programa, se den cuenta que las estadísticas, statistics, hasta cierto punto subestiman la realidad. They are under-representations of really what the real picture is. I want to show some of the significant problems that veterans and disabled veterans are experiencing. ¿Me puede poner el slide 3? Here, this consists, the problems that I broke it down into injuries, substance abuse, and mental illness. So essentially, warfare this century, because we have more advanced medical advances, because of medical advances, we are able to save people. We're able to provide the medical care and treatment where perhaps in the past they would have like passed away, not survived.
That's true.
So as a result of that, you're seeing more survivors, and more are returning with serious and emotionally devastating injuries, again, because of the advances in the medical sciences and proper care and treatment and triage, so that you're having a greater number now that are actually experiencing serious injuries and the emotional devastation that comes with that. Among these, and I'm going to talk about really two that are big, traumatic brain injuries, people, shrapnel to the head injury, something that may cause a loss of consciousness or some sort of a brain trauma. And the consequences of that can be, really quite devastating. The symptoms can be seemingly mild, things like forgetfulness or some disorientation, you miss your exit, you forget an appointment, some changes in mood, behavioral issues, increased irritability, being told something, you forget about it later.
That's right.
And I'm saying that this is relatively mild, and I'm not in any way trying to minimize it, because even mild traumatic brain injury can be very significant and affect a person's life and affect any return to work, return to, in quotes, normal life.
That's right.
But the more serious injuries, obviously, that is worse. You're going to see maybe partial paralysis. You see serious loss of memory, difficulty with speech impairments, and other kinds of rather dramatic consequences. The other one that I wanted to introduce you to, and you mentioned it also, is PTSD. PTSD is the acronym for post-traumatic stress disorder. I put down a number there. The numbers range from about 4 to 17% have been diagnosed with PTSD. 30% of active duty and reserve military personnel who were deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan. Roughly 730,000 have a mental health condition requiring a treatment. So the mental health condition doesn't have to be PTSD.
That's right.
It can be substance abuse, alcohol abuse, can be some sort of an anxiety disorder, some sort of a depression, a phobic disorder, phobia, avoiding certain kinds of things. And younger veterans are at greater risk for drug and alcohol abuse disorders and mental illness. But again, and this is where it's important to be aware of, that here's where you are more likely to see the underreporting, because not everybody who has a problem is going to voluntarily go forward and say, I have a problem, I need treatment.
That's right.
So you're going to have avoidance. You're going to have people not waiting for the last minute or saying, I can do it by myself. Or this thing, I don't want to tell anybody. I don't want my boss to know. I don't want my wife to know. They come back and they don't want to talk about it. Some are looked at, they're frowned upon, they're isolated, laughed at, but there's like microaggressions and smirks and snide remarks, which probably doesn't surprise me then why you said that some of your peers feel more comfortable talking to their peers, who not only know what they've been going through, but also maybe because they feel distanced, like they're a bug being looked at, like they're under a microscope being looked at. And I see a lot of this. I see a lot of what I'm telling you in traumatic brain injury groups, where people who have been in occupational injuries, car accidents, victims of assault, and as a result they suffered some sort of a traumatic brain injury, and they are in a head injury group, and they feel very comfortable in the group because they're talking to people who know very well what they're going through, and on the outside they don't feel that they have that support, and they feel in some cases alienated or distanced. Another major problem, la próxima, número 4, slide 4, is suicide. Now, suicide rates have been rising in the United States. They're up 25% since 1999, and service members and veterans are at a higher risk. Just below that, the suicide rate among veterans is approximately double that of the general populations, rising among Americans who served during the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Department of Veteran Affairs reports 20.6 suicides a day. In 2018, this means approximately 7,519 uniformed and retired military personnel took their lives. Another problem shouldn't really be under suicide. It should be a separate problem. Homelessness. A report issued by HUD in 2015 counted more than 47,000 homeless veterans nationwide. So, of course, if you're homeless, it means that nobody cares about you, that they're somehow not following you, you've dropped off the map, you're isolated, you're on your own, you're living in the street, you're going from one place to another. And of course, that's going to result in mental health problems, physical health problems, dietary difficulties, being perceived as a nuisance by the community, being chased away. So these are some of the
even by the family, in your own family, you feel like you've done something. You can't even ask your family for help.
So I wanted to sort of like give you a like a structure of the program for today, and I really wanted to pass it on to you to talk about some of the some of what we talked about. If you want to go further,
sure.
Problems you've seen, areas of concern that you've had, what you've witnessed yourself, what helped, what didn't help. If you had to do it over again, what would you have hoped for? What would have helped? What might have made a difference?
Might have made a difference. My time in the service, I'm very proud of it. I went in 79, came out in 84. My group I was aboard the USS Guadalcanal, which is a helicopter carrier. You have a picture of it, don't you? This is the newer version, because the LPHs are no longer. This is a lot of people just think as I don't know if the viewers can see this, but this is. They think that everything's come off aircraft carrier. Well, this is an aircraft carrier for amphib. We were seeing a whole bunch of aircraft carriers in the news today and yesterday. So this one is for an amphib. This is what we call a troop carrier. If we have to take a battalion of Army and Marine Corps, usually Marine Corps, across very fast, quick and mobile. This is the way to go. Okay, usually it's a helicopter carrier. Now they have the newer planes on there, the Osprey. Recently they started putting the F-22s up on there. It's fantastic. It's a little city. The ship which I was on, we carried at full complement 3,000 guys, full naval and 1,200 Marines, and we were ready for action within 9 days.
So walking from one end to the other would take you like half an hour?
This is 2 football fields. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's used to seeing the big aircraft carrier, the Tom Cruise thing. But these are the workhorses. These are the workhorses. And whenever we have a conflict, you better believe we have an amphib ready to go. I mean, ready to go. I've seen different. We had the Grenada incident with a couple of kids who blew up over there with the college. We went down to Morehead City, North Carolina, picked up Marine Corps. Boom, we were down in the Caribbean within 6 days, ready to go. I was in when Noriega was ousted from Panama. And I got to tell you, that was hilarious. We brought in Army, which usually don't come on the ships. Took him on over, surrounded him. Big fiasco, world stage. He ran into a church of all places to hide from the justice. It was incredible. Some of the things.
He thought that was a sanctuary?
Oh, no. He used it. He used it as a church sanctuary. He didn't want to cooperate with the United States because the United States at that time was in charge of Panama. We had the canal, and forget it. It was crazy. It was. I can't even to this day as I talk about. I can't believe I was there for that campaign. I was the first time I went to Beirut because my group also went to Beirut. Was 1981, Lebanon. Beautiful place. It's not what people thought. It was beautiful. I went into the airport. I got to see the Muslim community. It was one of the most beautiful places in the Middle East that I've ever been to. Hot, but very nice. This was in 81. That's when they first started to flood with the problems. When I went back in 1983, we went to relieve the USS St. John. It was totally different. Holes in every building. The airport was strictly run by the military. I couldn't believe the change that had happened in that country in 2 years. And they wanted us there. A lot of people think no, but yes, they wanted us there because the person that was in charge was holding his people down. He wouldn't let go. He just wouldn't let go. Wouldn't let nobody do what they wanted to. You know what I'm saying? It was a horrible thing. October of that year. I never forget it was a Sunday because I'm a cook by trade. I'm a MS.
Yes, I can see that.
I was a cook.
Los pasteles, huh?
Yeah, prepping for breakfast. It was 10 a.m. It was a Sunday morning, and I'm never going to forget it. And wow, the explosion that came in that morning was unreal. Apparently a suicide squad had ran a checkpoint with the Marine Corps. And they went into the main campus, Beirut College. The main dorm was used by the Marine Corps to sleep. It was their barracks was there. This building had a subterranean basement. So they ran this vehicle under and blew it up and brought this building all the way down. It was horrible. I lost a lot of good friends.
Wow.
A lot of good friends.
No warning, no nothing at all, no intel. Because normally you hope for some intelligence,
Yes.
some.
And at that time, the policy that the Americans had, a lot of people don't understand, was no lock and load. You can be out there with an M16 or 50 caliber. The Marine Corps were not allowed to carry live ammo. And I thought that was the craziest thing. On board the ship, the guys, they wanted to rotate. They wanted to stay on board the ship. They didn't want to go over there. It was a scary situation.
That was part of the rules of engagement?
Yes it was. And wow, I couldn't believe it. They brought that whole building down. We had Seabees, naval engineers, on board our ship and a couple of the other ships. Us being a helicopter carrier, we were there in minutes. I volunteered. I went over there to help because I had a lot of guys. One of my favorite friends, I grew up with him. I went Navy, he went in the Marine Corps. And it's so funny, he came on board my ship. And, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. 247 young men, sleep, and that was it. That was it. La mamá de me llamó because she knew we were together. He was on board my ship. ¿Cómo está Tito? ¿Cómo está Tito? ¿Cómo está Tito? I said, yo te llamo a ti cuando yo sé. I'll call you. You know what I'm saying? Because we had a Mars system. We can call home anytime. It was rough. It was a rough 3 weeks getting all those young men back and forth, the body. And it puts me to a frame of mind. The same thing happened with the World Trade Center. The same exact thing. Boom, bomb. People, you just don't know what to do. You feel helpless. With all the technology that we had, all the people all around, it happens. Because people over there, it's a whole different, the war over there is totally different. They're committed. They will do anything, and I mean anything. They don't have rules. We have rules.
I was intimately involved with efforts right on that day. I mean, right on 9/11, I actually was asked. I was teaching a class at Hofstra University, and I was asked by the president of the university to come to appear on on News 12. They wanted to interview somebody, and I was teaching psychology and the law, so I was usually the contact person for dealing with those kinds of forensic-related issues. And I remember what it was like, and I remember going in that day to work and hearing about the plane, and then the second plane, and my heart dropped because I knew immediately what it was. But I do know what I saw when I saw the South Tower collapse. My eyes registered, my brain registered, and I knew what I was watching, and I just didn't grasp it. Like the emotion sort of like was compartmentalized, because otherwise I would have been overwhelmed.
How could this happen?
It was incredible. It was just not really seeing and understanding and appreciating it. But I do recall, and maybe you can talk to this. I do recall, because I went there many times. I went there several times with a high-ranking captain from the New York State. Several times I went to Ground Zero, and I remember I would go. We called it the Taj Mahal. It was an area where everybody went to eat. And every week there was a different Red Cross group that was there serving meals, and the camaraderie was incredible. Black, white, you name it, different religions, different colors. Everybody got together. It was like this incredible camaraderie. And I remember driving on the West Side Highway, and people are cheering the cops, cheering the firefighters. We lost that. I mean, where did this go? What happens to that camaraderie? Why do we once again start questioning people and being divisive? Yes. That would be, I think, the best word to say. We become divisive again and suspicious of others, and whatever these stereotype notions that we have start, somehow they seem to take over again, and there's like an ugliness that I see, and it saddens me because I've lived. I'm older than you are, and I've lived and I've worked with many people, many clients, so many different kinds of traumatic events, and I'd just like to see if there could someday be really a coming together and losing this. But did you yourself experience that or see that? Because it's many years later, and you're telling me now that the boys don't really feel comfortable talking to outsiders, and I'm wondering if that's also part of what I'm saying, that there's this like divisiveness or distancing. Like, I'm sure initially, yeah, we needed you boys there, and you come back as heroes, and then later on, it's like you're just sucking up our money and this and that, and you're just a burden on us. And I'm guessing there must be a lot of that.
There is. I'm privy. We came home to good fanfare. It wasn't bad. I hang out with a lot of Vietnam vets. When they came home, they were called baby killers. It was a whole different era. And that 9/11 changed the way we look at the world. I feel it. I can see it when we're out and around. You know what I'm saying? That not just the buildings coming down, but they really hit us. They hit America, below the belt. People just, wow, what the hell? Why'd they do it? To tear us down. They got us because we're always walking around like nothing's gonna happen to us. Nothing, that happens in that country, or that happens in that country. But these guys came, they said, boom, here in America.
Yeah. But the methods now, not only are they potentially more serious in terms of the weapons and the range. You talk about short-range missiles, middle-range missiles, long-range missiles. But what we're not talking that much about, some of us are. I follow the news medias pretty closely. The internet kind, the social media kind, the technology, the technological attacks that we're experiencing, we've experienced and are continuing to experience. And this is a different type of a terrorism that nonetheless, as you say, is attacking who we are, what we are as a United States. And in '81, I guess you didn't see that back then, but it's certainly now. It's incredible.
It's made us give up a couple of our freedoms. We're more in tune to letting the government tell us we should do this or we should do that. In the old days, we didn't have that. We didn't have to have that.
You mentioned like really an interesting sort of like a push-pull, like two sides of the coin. Like, to be safe is on one side of the coin. Freedom is on the other side of the coin. Being safe isn't necessarily consistent with having freedoms.
That's right.
You want increased safety, you have to give up some of those freedoms. You're going to be, chances are, stopped, asked for identification. You'll be subject to random, frisking, pat searches, things like that. You want the increased freedom. You're taking the risk that comes with it, therefore. So it's really a push. It's push-pull, opposite ends. Finding what's a really comfortable balance. We haven't found it yet, so I don't know what to tell you. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, vamos a hacer un corte breve. When we come back, I wanted to focus on, continue to talk about some of your experiences, but I also wanted to focus on some of the kinds of services that are available at this point in time, what's out there, and see if you can provide some insights as to what you think is helpful, not helpful, and some of the new things that you were pointing out, and perhaps the role of peer groups, and also I'm concerned, because with HUD, impossible cutbacks, and where's the money going, and how much money is going to be allocated, and if there's money being moved from this part of government to here to there. I'm worried then that HUD's going to not have as much allocations. What's that going to mean for homeless veterans, let alone other people that need help? What's that going to happen? But what is it going to mean for people who need mental health services also, and or health care, which is certainly not cheap.
No.
You know, we're looking at very expensive things. So if you have some insights into that, we'll talk about that. So regresamos ahorita en un momentito.
Sigue en sintonía de nuestra programación. Ahora ya puedes vernos desde tu celular, descargando nuestra aplicación Tribuna TV desde Google Play o Apple Store. ¿Qué esperas? Descarga ya y sé parte de nuestra gran familia hispana que se conecta con nosotros. Tribuna TV, un mundo de información para ti, al alcance de tu dedo.
Rancho Don Tino, ubicado en la playa Costa Azul, es una de las fortalezas en materia de paisajes que posee el municipio de Acajutla en el departamento de Sonsonate. Esta se encuentra a 1 hora de la capital y a media hora de la ciudad cocotera. Para poder disfrutar de este paraíso tropical puedes reservar desde ya. Tenemos paquetes para 24 horas, un día completo o los días que prefiera. Contáctenos en El Salvador a través del 7128-9979, en el WhatsApp a través del 7320-4831 y en el exterior a través del 516-477-0560. También nos puedes seguir en Facebook como Rancho Costa Azul Don Tino. Además de contar con un personal altamente calificado, también tendrá seguridad dentro de las instalaciones, ya que hay cámaras de videovigilancia. ¿Qué espera usted que está en casa para hacer su reservación y venirla a pasar increíble con su familia y con sus amigos? Eso se le ofrece Rancho Don Tino. Lo mejor de este lugar es la cercanía a la playa y a la bocana. Turistas que han llegado comparten su historia e invitan a otros a visitar.
Súper recomendado que se vengan a disfrutar el Rancho Don Tino, esas vacaciones de Semana Santa o en cualquier época del año.
Dentro del rancho hay 5 habitaciones que incluyen aire acondicionado. Las camas son apropiadas para un merecido descanso. También contará con Wi-Fi gratis y servicio de TV digital y Sky. Cabe destacar que dentro de las instalaciones del Rancho Don Tino usted puede ordenar su comida el día de la reservación o llevar sus provisiones para cocinar. Y para no pasarla aburrido, también puede solicitar mariachis en vivo.
¿Qué le digo si la miro cuando la veo pasar? Mi corazón se estremece y empiezo a tartamudear. ¿Qué le digo si la miro cuando la veo pasar?
Recuerde que Rancho Don Tino también ofrece paquetes para sus eventos sociales y paseos turísticos.
Tribuna TV te invita a, si quieres ser el productor de tu propio programa de televisión, para así formar parte de la programación de Tribuna TV, rentando tu espacio en nuestra programación, como lo han hecho nuestros productores asociados. Para más información, llámanos al 1-888-928-11, extensión 7, o visítanos en la web al www.tribunatv.us.
Sigue en sintonía de nuestra programación.
Bueno, estamos de vuelta. We're back. And as promised, this remaining segment of the program, en el segmento que queda, vamos a hablar sobre algunos de los servicios que se brindan, services that are available, and I'm going to ask you for your input and give us some of the state-of-the-art kinds of treatments that you're aware of. Also concerns, because I do have concerns about outreach and who's going to be affected, because we're looking at not only. When you look at a veteran, not only are you looking at a veteran as a single person, you're looking at the family of that veteran. So veteran family. You're looking at the friends. You're looking at potential employers or former employers. School. You're looking at the community. So you go from a single person to really a much larger chunk, piece of the pie. And when you look at it that way, which I believe is really the only way to look at it, and on top of that, you need to throw in as well whoever's providing services for them and treatments and so forth. The numbers become awesome. It becomes staggering. I said 18.2, I think, million when I started the show. 18.2 million. We're really looking at much more because 18.2 million are the veterans. So add the family, the extended family, the friends, and all of the ones that I was talking about, community. You need to really provide services to the communities where the veterans live and are affected. So, Oscar, por favor, slide 5. I want to point out some of the services and the numbers. It's incredible. Veterans Health Administration, it's the largest integrated health care system, means that it provides a whole variety of different health services. It's integrated. There are 1,250 healthcare facilities, 172 VA medical centers, over 1,069 VHA outpatient clinics, and 9 million or more enrolled veterans are served each year. Now, this is staggering, okay? And again, you're looking at the enrolled veterans, and that 9 million is going to be a lot more than 9 million if you consider the community and the extended family and so forth, like I mentioned. Oscar, por favor, slide 6. I want you to look at what some of the services that are provided. Okay, we're looking at things like compensation. You became disabled. You are entitled to receive disability compensation.
That's right.
Education and training. What new thing can you do if you lost a certain ability, physical ability, or certain mental capacity because of traumatic brain injury? What type of training, what's out there that you might be able to receive training to do? Vocational rehabilitation. Can we help get you back into the workforce doing something else? People feel useful working. You feel useful. It helps your self-esteem. I have many occupational injury patients, and routinely they're going to places like the United States Department of Labor,
That's right.
Access VR, Workforce One, where they are receiving vocational rehabilitation, evaluation, assessment, and then some sort of placement. Because obviously, you have to first be evaluated. What can you do? What can you not do? And what's out there? And then, of course, there's a partnering up between the government and people who will provide employment, so they're receiving some sort of a governmental benefit by providing these services, and in return, the injured and people who have special needs are receiving the type of placement that makes sense for them. Health care, of course, home loans, housing-related assistance, life insurance, memorial benefits, and a pension plan.
That's right.
Y queda uno más, slide 7, and then I'm going to want you to comment on this.
Okay.
So, este es el 7, ¿verdad? Okay, this is the last slide, and I wanted to point out that there are programs to help the homeless veterans, National Coalition for Homeless Veterans, the United States Department of Veterans Affairs, the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. I mentioned this before, HUD, and I'm really concerned about what's happening to the allocation of funds. The American Legion, National Association of State Directors of Veterans Affairs, and Veterans of America. This is by no means a total, comprehensive, nothing else list. There are many other services that are available, religious organizations, all sorts of society, social people that give of themselves, and they try to promote something
like
to help the veterans.
The DAV is Disabled American Veterans Association. They help you if you're not homeless but disabled. They help you try to get your benefits, because there's a lot of red tape when you got to start filling out the papers when it's happened to you, documents.
Yeah, but if you can't write anymore, or you're visually impaired, it's going to be a problem.
Right.
And if you can't ambulate, you have mobility problems. You have to get there. And try to get a van that's wheelchair accessible if you need that. You need to get a scooter or something. Well, good luck. I don't know how long it'll take. I have patients for an occupational injury, and I know the runarounds that they get in terms of having like a prosthetic limb attached.
Right. That's why association like DAV, they help you. They bring you. They set you up with an advocate that takes care of all those little small needs. Instead of you running around, he'll come to you. Any questions you have, he'll help you do the paperwork, sign out. Because they tell you they got the help for you, but let me tell you, you go to one door, and then you go open the door, there's another door. There's so many levels that you have to, navigate to get, to where you start to feel better. It's good to know that you have people behind you, all the veterans, because most of the people in the DAV are veterans, to help you navigate, all that paperwork and the nonsense. You know what I'm saying? Because the money is there. For you to get it, that's a whole different world. You got to knock doors down. And it's good to have an advocate always behind you, especially if it's another veteran.
What sort of difficulties do, say, veterans of different cultures, different language backgrounds, diversity. I'm looking here, the word is diversity.
Yeah.
What happens to veterans who come from all kinds of diversified backgrounds, and they're either they may be bilingual or perhaps more dominant in Spanish or another language, or they willingly gave of their service or sexual orientation, sexual preference.
That's changed. And when I was Bill Clinton did something that I thought was crazy. Don't ask, don't tell. I was like, what? Don't ask, don't tell. Don't ask if that person's sexual orientation, and don't tell, which was one of the most confusing things I've ever had to deal with. Don't ask, don't tell. But this country has a lot of programs. You don't have to be an American citizen to be here enjoying the military. They have programs for, especially a lot of Latin countries, where you give them 3-4 years, and they'll help you get your citizenship. But in recent years, I've seen a lot of people get kicked out. You know what I'm saying? The system is set up so that you give your time to this country, then you become a citizen. But there's been a drop off to that. They holding up the red tape. And, it's because of the way things have been changing. That this person shouldn't be here, that they belong in their country. If you serve for this country, you should be entitled to all the benefits as anybody else. Period. I have friends that are Filipino. In the Philippines, you join, you give 4 years, and after your 4 years, you come out with an honorable discharge, your DD-214, boom, you should have automatic American citizenship. It's not like that anymore. They run you around. It's changed. I have friends from Colombia. They're here, working, going to school, ROTC programs, and they're being yanked from them. Why? Because they don't have citizenship. But they're volunteering, because the military right now is volunteer. The last time they had, a draft was for the Vietnam War. None of the wars after that, and they're not really wars, they're scrimmages, have people been asked, let's go. It's not like that. It's volunteer. It's volunteer. So when you see these kids out there, they're all volunteer. I volunteer. I was a volunteer.
How much of an effect is staff turnover, changes at an administrative level, people who assume acting director kinds of roles and are in, and then they're out. They're there at the pretty much at the request of whoever's empowered to put them there, and maybe internal squabbling over who's got the position, who doesn't. How much of that is going on? Because I see, and I have to believe that we're living right now in a world that's changing.
Yes.
You know, a lot of the dynamics are changing a lot, and we're seeing like a lot of confusion and difficulty and problems in different aspects of society and the services that all of society, not just VA, but all services. There's a question of, you know, who do I talk to? Oh, this person is in there now. Like immigration, for instance. I was supposed to testify recently, I think last week or 1 or 2 weeks ago. I was supposed to testify on an asylum case, and I got word sort of like last minute from the attorney who had asked me to do an evaluation for her client, and I thought it was really a female who really warranted it, and I had no problem doing the evaluation and providing the report. And I didn't find out until like a day or two before I was supposed to testify that the attorney was informed that the judge was no longer there. So it's like the immigration judges are being rotated, and they have quotas, and you have to see so many people. So each case is like 15 minutes. If you go over, it's like health care. Where I go for my health care, I ask how long is the session. I was told 15 minutes. 15 minutes. What do you do in 15 minutes? This is where we're at. I mean, this is what we're beginning to look at, and I'm wondering, do you see this?
Yeah, I see it with the younger kids. A lot of the this generation is going in. They see it as a stepping stone. You're going for 3 years, and then on the backside, the government helps pay for college, which I think is a great thing. But what you don't know is as needed, because hey, one day you could be stationed in Fort Bragg down in North Carolina, and then all of a sudden, boom, 1,500 guys flying over to Afghanistan. If your number gets punched, you're gone, because it's the needs of the service first. And that is causing a lot of friction with a lot of kids, because they're under the impression that they're going to go in, do what they got to do for 3-4 years, and then they're going to come out. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of guys that believe they're never going to go into combat. Meanwhile, we're in and out of different countries every day.
It used to be like an automatic officer. You become an officer just like that, no time flat. Medical people pursuing advanced medical trainings. They would go in. Boston VA, for instance, they pursue like a specialty in gastroenterology. They give 3 years of it, and they're salaried while they're doing it, and come out getting this kind of a benefit. But then, the expectation of having to do something later, you sort of wonder what happens with disability evaluations, because like how accurate are the disability evaluations? Is there some sort of a pushback to try to save money? Because I see this a lot in independent medical examinations. Is there a bit of a pushback on the doctors who are performing these so-called, I don't know if they're called independent evaluations or not, but is there a bit of a look by your superior to see to what extent I can bring the disability rating a little bit lower?
That goes on all the time. Perfect example. Agent Orange is on the books for the Vietnam veteran. You're a Vietnam veteran and you were in country, you're entitled to that. But even if you're entitled and you were there, you have to fight that. What proof is there that you were actually in country or there, or when they was actually spraying the forest with these chemicals, these harsh chemicals? They recently passed, because I'm Navy, the naval veterans are now eligible now. When was the Vietnam War? When was the Vietnam skirmish? Late 60s,
yes.
Early 70s.
67, 68
it now that if you were a naval, the sailor, that now you entitled all the benefits and everything for Agent Orange. They're just starting to cover that. It takes a long time. I mean, they tell you a great story, but
meanwhile you've lost a lot of people. There's been a lot of people who were qualified and they've passed away.
It takes forever. The boss, they always have this is what's coming. But the way the system is built, it takes forever to get them to say, sure, you're covered.
We have about we have about 2 minutes left. Okay, I have my stopwatch on, so we have about 2 minutes left. Other than my message, basically, to all viewers is be kind to the veterans. Be aware of who they are. When you see them, say hello, say hi. I'm not saying that you necessarily have to go out of your way and make it a little bit foolish. But if it's natural, you see somebody. I mean, I go to Penn Station. I see police officers. I see military, and I'll wave at them. I'll say thank you for your service. I think that be kind to the veterans. What message do you have for the viewers in terms of what they might do in terms of if they have a neighbor who's a veteran or a disabled veteran or other people? What message, or what are some of the things that the viewers can actually do? And you have about a minute to do this. Sorry to put that much pressure on you.
Yeah, with veterans, a lot of people have this thing, I don't know, like a hidden fear. Veterans are like everybody out there, your brothers and sisters to serve, to help protect this country, to give you your freedoms. When you see one, just greet them like anybody else, just like the Joe next door. How you doing? You know what I'm saying? A couple of times that person gets it in, that person is caring about me, and I care about that person.
Or don't automatically be put off if they're looking for employment and they're suffering from some sort of a disability. I mean, it doesn't mean that they're useless individuals.
On the contrary.
Yeah, well, they'll show up to work. They'll show up to work. They'll be on time. They'll be punctual. So I think that those are very important things to do and to consider. So that said, I think I don't know if it's still raining or not. So if I slip outside, there will be a disability claim on my part.
Okay.
So con todo eso nos despedimos. I wanted to thank Conrado Delgado, Navy veteran, coming. I hope that you had a good time. It was very informative to me. And the word I was looking at before era televidentes. I'm sorry that I was tongue-tied at the beginning of the show. So I really want to wish all of you a wonderful night, and we do have to end, and I will see you. Oh, wow. A couple of photos for you. Tell us quickly what those photos are.
That is Change of Command. That's my new captain. Greeting me when I'm a third-class petty officer.
So the big guy is you on the right, right?
That's me.
He says goodbye.
That's a picture of me. And that's me running the crew on board the ship, the main mess, feeding the 2,000 guys at lunch and breakfast and all that. Yeah, that's all the boys there.
That looks a little bit like a scene out of Men of Honor, the cooking Men of Honor. Anyway, nos despedió. Oscar, muchas gracias por todo. Oscar's behind the scenes over there helping out with the slides. I want to make sure that you're aware of it. Conrado, thank you so much. My viewers, I hope that this was informative. The recording will be available tomorrow. I'll keep you posted as to when the next shows are. There'll be 2 next month in June. And hopefully we can mix it up with guests that come and share their experiences, more personal experiences. And maybe that's a new dimension for me to move into. So buenas noches a todos. Be safe. Okay, salud y que estén seguros todos en este país. Okay, good night. Buenas noches.
Los conceptos vertidos